So Bojan Bogdanovic is again in the rumor mill. His name, he's a name that's being expected to be traded before the deadline. And there are a few teams that are interested. This comes from Jake Weinbach. Like I said earlier, we've heard rumors about Bojan for a while now. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that he doesn't get traded. I do not see him being moved by the deadline. I would like for the Pistons to try to get something for him, especially since we already heard, and we've heard a few times already that there were some contending teams out there that were willing to trade 2 first-round picks for Bojan. So I don't know. My thought is he doesn't get traded. He's here past the deadline, and I'm almost certain he doesn't make very many moves this season with the roster.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I read the article piece from James Edwards, and we're going to get into it later about Tom Gores talking about there's changes to be made. It's a guy that's 34. Next year, his contract's non-guaranteed. If you do waive him up by a certain date, it goes from $20 million to $3 million. I know contenders are going to be interested. It's just, are the Pistons going to get the haul that they want?
Yeah.
And for me personally, I don't think they will. I think you could get a first-round pick. I'm not saying it's going to be a lottery pick, but I think you can get a future first if that's really the road you want to go down. I preferably would like to get a wing. I really would. I know this isn't possible. This is just a wish list thing for me. Like, I would see if the Lakers are willing to move on from Cam Reddish or Rui Hachimura. I feel like Cam Reddish on this team would be just a perfect fit. Like what he's doing in Los Angeles right now. And he was a guy that I mentioned, I believe last year with you. Like, I think there's something there with him. He's a wing that is kind of on the younger side. He can shoot threes. He could defend a little bit. And I've always liked Rui Hachimura also, but I really don't know what the market is for a Bojan right now. He's an elite three-point shooter. We know he can score. It's just on the defensive end. He has you kind of just like holding your breath when he's on defense because you know something bad's going to happen. But he's a hell of a player, and I think a lot of contending teams would be open to trading for him if the Pistons are willing to finally move on.
If it is the Los Angeles Lakers, if they do decide to bite on the Bojan, I would like Rui Hachimura back in that trade over Cam Reddish between those two. I mean, I think Cam Reddish is decent, but there's a reason he's bounced around a lot. I think he's viewed more as a scorer. He's just not really efficient. He's shooting 40% from the field, 30% from three. He is shooting 87% from the free throw line and averaging almost 2 steals per game. I think he's in a fantastic role with the Los Angeles Lakers. But if I had to pick between those two, it would be Rui Hachimura. And the teams that are even interested that Jake Weinbach tweeted about, you have the Houston Rockets, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the New York Knicks. I mean, if we're going to trade with the New York Knicks, obviously I want the pick back. You're probably taking Evan Fournier's contract back, and I think it's up after this year. So that's fine. Philadelphia, I know we talked about Tobias Harris. I love him as a player, but like I feel like that would be a rental and that would just be a Band-Aid on this season. I don't see him resigning. And then Houston, yeah, they do got some young, interesting pieces. Like, I mean, could you trade Bojan and somehow get Cam Whitmore back and have him run with these guys? That would be pretty
Ooh.
So
I like that.
I don't know what else you'd have to take on from Houston, but maybe being able to grab one of those young guys, because Houston fans can speak for me. I don't watch them that much. I've saw some highlights. It looked like Amen Thompson was doing some things the other night, though, coming back from injury. That was pretty cool. So I don't really know where Cam Whitmore is on their like list of players they want to develop and him out with his future. So if the Houston Rockets are interested in Bojan and they're really seriously trying to make a push for the playoffs and compete, trade for Bojan and give us back Cam Whitmore, and maybe we have some other contracts.
You're about to make me look up their salary cap because I can't stop thinking, like, if you had to get a Cam Whitmore, because I know he's on a rookie deal and Bojan makes $20 million, right? So I just want to look of like they're not going to trade you Jalen Green. You probably have to take a Oladipo on, and then you probably have to stretch and waive him just for it to work, man. Because like outside of Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks, they're probably not going to trade Jalen Green or Jeff Green because Jeff Green's such a great vet for them. Maybe Jayshawn Tate, he's not really a shooter, but he's a good defender.
Terry Eason, though.
Terry Eason, he's at 3.5. Cam Whitmore's at 3.2. I didn't even know Boban was on the Rockets. I never seen him play, but that's actually kind of cool. I love that for him.
So Victor Oladipo's contract isn't terrible though, right now. It's 2 years at $18 million, and he has a player option for $9.4 million next year. So even if he's on your roster, he's not really eating up that much cap space. So you still have the flexibility to do some stuff this offseason. Like if you told me the Houston Rockets wanted Bojan and they were willing to give up Cam Whitmore, but you had to take back Victor Oladipo, I would take it. I'd have no problem with that.
You know, it's funny. I was on a Twitter Spaces maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and because we were talking about Bojan, and someone says in the chat, get that first back on Facebook. I think it was Brian. Shout out to Brian watching on Facebook right now. Because if you guys don't know, the Knicks do have the Pistons first, part of the Isaiah Stewart trade from a few years ago. And like we were talking a little bit like on this space, and I told them probably the only way that you guys would trade for Bojan is if we take Evan Fournier on, because they're making around the same amount of money. Evan Fournier's at 18.5. And I've told you, if you look at kind of like his contract, he has I believe a team option where you could just waive him and save the cap space that way. Like you don't have to opt into his team option if you do want to create more cap space that way.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned Isaiah Hartenstein, and someone actually on Twitter tagged me because he had like a 17 rebound game. Like, see, we're wrong about Hartenstein. I know. Shout out to our followers that do watch. I mean, they do tag me on my bad takes, and I do appreciate that. They do say, hey man, you were wrong, dumbass. I love it. I don't know, man. Like I doubt they trade Josh Hart. He kind of seems like a glue guy. Like, do you really get excited about a Dante DiVincenzo and maybe, I don't know, Quentin Grimes?
I do actually like Quentin Grimes' game. I like him he would be a legit 3-and-D guy. And if you're talking about wings, he's not that bad of a player. He's still pretty young. I think he's still under 25, but I think he also has some playoff experience as well. And he had some big moments for him last year. So I would take on a Quentin Grimes. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I got some people in the chat saying Jericho Sims, who's every time I watch that guy play, like he would be such a cool lob threat for Cade because this guy just jumps out the gym.
Yeah.
Jericho Sims could be an option. He's on a really, really low contract. I'm looking right now on Spot Track, less than $2 million. I know someone also mentioned Quentin Grimes. Again, on a $2.3 million contract. Emmanuel Quickly, who I feel like the Pistons have been interested in for a while. He's in a $4 million contract. So they do have some young players that are on budget-friendly deals, but you're probably going to have to take one of their bigger salaries on if you want to do that. We've looked at this free agency class over probably the last 2-3 weeks, and, outside of Siakam, really, or Tobias Harris, at the forward spot, there's not a whole lot out there. Like you have like Klay Thompson, who I doubt anyone's going to give him what he wants because he just looks like he fell off a cliff. But like I said, the Knicks are a good option too. I would like to get my first round pick back because then you can make, future trades if you want to do that. You don't have to worry about these protections, as I think this year it's top 18. After that, it's like top 13, then top 9, and if it doesn't convey, it goes to a second round pick. I think having the option to trade your first round pick is very valuable to me. But I don't know. It's up to the Pistons really if they want to move on from him. I just don't think they will.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I don't think the Pistons move on from Bojan, but these teams there's some interesting things that you could do with the trade machine, and man, I'm just getting kind of excited thinking about it, to be honest with you. So actually, You could trade. I just did one trade with the Pistons and the Houston Rockets. It does work with Cam Whitmore and Victor Oladipo for Bojan Bogdanovic. I mean, do the Houston Rockets do it? I don't know. That's just something that I'm interested in, though.
Yeah, like I said, I really don't know what Bojan's value is. I think the Pistons were asking for like 2 firsts last year, and they didn't get it, obviously. But I mean, like, even if you trade for marginal players that make Cade Cunningham's life a little easier, we've lost 26 straight. It would be like a shiny new toy on Christmas, like, oh, a new player, let's watch, let's tune into a game. We're still watching these games, you guys. Not like we were when we were 2-1. I was making dinner and I had the game on, but it was on mute because I couldn't listen to the Brooklyn broadcast because they were really annoying. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's rough out here if you're a Piston fan. That's why we're trying to be positive on this podcast, but man, it's rough right now.